Hello students, welcome to the video about how to write a summary. In this video we will explain how to write a summary, but before that let's look at what a summary is and why it is important. So writing a summary means creating a shorter or smaller version of the original text without losing any of its key points. While writing a summary, we just have to focus on the main points and remove extra unnecessary content, which gives the text length. Summary writing is a very important skill. Not only is it a way of evaluating your academics, but it's also a life skill that will help you in your career. Summarizing is important for other reasons too. It makes your reading faster, it improves your vocabulary as you draft it in your sentences, and it improves your critical thinking. So, there are 4 main requirements for a summary. First is brevity. It should convey the information from the text briefly, and it should be about 10 to 30% of the length of the original. The second is fidelity to the source. It should accurately and comprehensively represent the source. Third is completeness. Of course, it should cover all of the main points of the text. And the last requirement is objectivity. It shouldn't reflect your own point of view. We'll remind you of these requirements, but keep them in mind. And there are several stages to writing a summary. First, you should skim the article for comprehension, identifying the main topic and ideas. Then you should reread the article. When you reread it, underline important ideas and circle key terms. Divide the article into sections and label them in the margins of the page and make your plan. And then next, you'll be ready to write a brief summary of each section. This will become an outline of your summary. You can divide the information into key points, significant points, and minor points, which you will omit. In the 4th stage, you should write the main point of the article in your own words, and then you will be ready to write your first draft. So you'll include all the information you collected so far and create your draft. And finally, review your draft and finalize your summary. And let's look at the structure of a summary. So the summary begins with an introductory sentence that states the text title, author, and main point of the text as you see it. A summary is written in your own words. It contains only the ideas of the original text. Do not insert any of your own opinions, interpretations, deductions, or comments into the summary. The first paragraph of your summary includes the following elements: full name of the author, the title of the source, in quotes if it's an article, and italicized if it's a book, the date of publication, either in parentheses or in the sentence, background information regarding the publication, your focus or thesis, and the social significance of your thesis. The second paragraph and others that follow it form the body of the paper. Each has to directly support your focus. And there are many ways to end your summary or write a conclusion. One way is to evaluate the significance of the work, its target audience, analysis of the author's position and approach. Another way is to say why the article was so important. And here are some tips about what you should do when you're writing a summary. Before writing a summary, you must first thoroughly understand what you have to read. So read the material and take note of the highlights of the article, all the places you circled. And take note of the main theme. Ask the usual questions like who, what, when, where, why, and how. This way it's easier for you to determine the main idea of the article. Next, pick out important supporting details. The supporting details are gradually introduced in the following paragraphs. However, they can be overwhelming, so pick out the most important and most relevant details that can help you explain the main theme. And of course, be objective. When writing a summary, you will use your own words to explain the main idea based on how you understood the article. However, you should avoid writing criticisms or opinions. If you have to write an opinion, try to be as objective as possible. And it's important to be brief and clear, so don't get carried away with the article. Explain the content as briefly and clearly as possible. It's not necessary to go into details as long as the main point and important important details are presented clearly, then you are good to go. And now let's go over some tips that you should not do when writing a summary. So do not summarize the text based on your first reading. You should reread. And do not use minor points and repeated information. Don't include your own ideas, illustrations, or interpretations. And don't use phrases like the author says, the article reports. Instead, you can use words like affirms, agrees, announces, answers, approves, argues, challenges, claims, etc. And do not directly quote the author without using quotation marks. And now let's evaluate a good summary. It should be comprehensive, concise, and coherent. These qualities are explained below. You should identify all the important points of the original passage and note them down in a list. Review all the ideas on your own and include all the ones that are indispensable to the author's development of his or her idea. And it must be concise. Eliminate repetitions in your list, even if the author restates the same points. Your summary should be a lot shorter than the source. You're hoping to create an overview, so you don't need to repeat every point or supporting detail. And it must be coherent. It should make sense as a piece of writing in its own right, so it shouldn't just be taken directly from your notes or sound like a disjointed collection of points. Pay attention to logical consistency, full coverage, objectivity, and to the language and vocabulary. Let's understand with an example. Here is a short text that we are going to summarize together. First, we should read it quickly and look for the main ideas. In other words, we should skim this text. After you finish reading, you will understand that this text is about communication. Now let's read it again. When we do our rereading, you should scan the text. So scanning means running through the text with some questions. While scanning, ask questions yourself, like what is it about? What are the details given in each paragraph? What is unnecessary in particular paragraphs, like examples, descriptions, details, such as dates, numbers, or statistics? And what could be an appropriate title for the piece? Then, while scanning, underline the keywords. It will be helpful in your next step. So as you see here, we underlined the key points, keeping the above questions in mind. And now you should know the central idea of the text. You also underlined key points and keywords. And now we can read to start drafting it in your own words. So start your summary with an introductory sentence. Then go through the key points or keywords that we underlined before. Make meaningful sentences using those points. Don't just try to use the sentence as it is. You should express with your own words without changing the main concepts. And after you do this, your summary is ready. All you have to do is recheck it, review, see if you missed important points from the original text, and also read to check that your summary flows well. It shouldn't feel like you just dumped a bunch of sentences in one paragraph to make it short. So paying attention to linking words, transition words will be helpful to you when you make sure it flows well. And now let's finish the summary. Okay, so now we hope you have an idea about how to write a summary and you're ready to try it yourselves. And whatever career you choose in the future, you will have to use this skill. So keep practicing summarizing because, of course, practice makes perfect, and regular practice will help you master summary writing. And thank you for watching this video. Now you're ready to move on to Module 1. So we'll see you in the next video.